The film begins with Mitch Rapp, a joyful young man, enjoying a vacation in Spain with his girlfriend, Katrina Harper. As they bask in the sun on the beach, Katrina immerses herself in the water while Mitch has something special planned. With excitement in his heart, he pulls out an engagement ring and proposes to her, declaring his deep love. Overjoyed, Katrina accepts his proposal, and the couple shares a tender kiss, celebrating their bright future together. Mitch then heads to the bar to fetch drinks for them both. However, their idyllic moment is shattered when gunfire erupts and chaos ensues as terrorists launch a brutal attack. In a desperate attempt to reach Katrina, Mitch is shot in the leg but continues to call out for her. Tragically, he witnesses her being gunned down right before his eyes by one of the attackers. Fast forward 18 months, and Mitch is a transformed man, consumed by rage and a thirst for vengeance. He has been relentlessly tracking the terrorists, disguising himself as a jihadist on messaging platforms in hopes of securing a meeting with the man responsible for Katrina's death. His intense training in martial arts is marred by his uncontrollable anger, leading to his expulsion from multiple gyms for excessively beating his sparring partners. At the shooting range, he stands out as he opts for fully automatic fire, oblivious to the fact that the CIA is monitoring him closely. One fateful evening, Mitch receives the long-anticipated invitation to join the terrorists, prompting immediate interest from CIA Deputy Director Irene Kennedy. He travels to Libya and arrives at the terrorist compound, where masked men guide him to their hidden base. As one of them removes his sunglasses, Mitch discreetly conceals a blade within them. After a thorough search of his belongings, he is blindfolded and led inside. Inside the compound, Mitch confronts al-Mansour, the leader of the terrorists and the man who killed Katrina. As their conversation unfolds, Mitch quietly works to free himself. Just as he prepares to strike, al-Mansour is suddenly shot, and a team of special operations soldiers bursts into the room, eliminating the terrorists. In a fit of rage over al-Mansour's death, Mitch repeatedly plunges his blade into the terrorist's chest until soldiers restrain him. Following this chaotic encounter, Mitch is taken into custody by the CIA, where he undergoes an extensive 30-day debriefing that delves into his past, including the tragic deaths of his parents. During this pivotal period, Deputy Director Kennedy is closely monitoring Mitch's behavior and decides to enter the interrogation room on the final day. She reflects on the audacity of his attempt to single-handedly eliminate al-Mansour and dismantle his entire terrorist cell, while Mitch, consumed by regret, realizes that they will never truly know what could have been. Despite pressure from other officials to imprison Mitch, Kennedy sees potential in him and proposes that he join the CIA. However, Mitch adamantly rejects the idea, determined to avenge Katrina on his own terms. Recognizing his fierce determination, Kennedy lays out his choices: prison or her way. Kennedy then approaches Director Stansfield with her assessment of Mitch, but Stansfield expresses reservations due to Mitch's impulsive nature and uncooperative attitude, which could jeopardize their Black Ops team, already harbors doubts about Mitch's psychological profile. Nevertheless, Kennedy is convinced that Mitch embodies the qualities she has long sought in an agent, prompting Stansfield to wish her luck in convincing Hurley. As this unfolds, a report surfaces about missing plutonium from a decommissioned Russian nuclear facility, leading Stansfield to place Kennedy on standby. She begins transporting Mitch to the Orion training facility and takes the opportunity to inform him about Hurley, an ex-Navy SEAL who served alongside her father. Upon arriving at a secluded compound nestled in the woods, Hurley greets Kennedy with skepticism about her choice to bring Mitch on board. Kennedy defends Mitch, emphasizing that he lacks the bad habits often seen in recruits and possesses the demeanor of a civilian, exactly what they need. After she departs, Hurley confronts Mitch, questioning his presence there. Unfazed, Mitch challenges Hurley to test his combat skills if he has any doubts. Hurley masks his intrigue as he assigns an agent to show Mitch to his quarters. The following day during training, Hurley showcases his own skills against Mitch before pairing him up with another recruit, Victor. What begins as a sparring match quickly escalates into a full-blown brawl. Seizing the opportunity, Hurley uses this moment to reinforce their training, reminding the recruits that they are ghosts if captured, their only option must be death. Meanwhile, at the Iranian embassy in London, Kennedy and Stansfield engage with Iranian officials regarding intelligence that indicates the stolen plutonium is en route to Iran. The officials deny any knowledge of the smuggled material, with Minister of Defense Baraz assuring them that Iran would never violate its nuclear agreement with the United States. The meeting concludes without a definitive resolution, leaving both sides in a state of uncertainty. Stansfield's distrust of the Iranian officials prompts him to instruct Kennedy to ready the Orion team for action. Meanwhile, Mitch and the other recruits undergo a grueling virtual combat simulation designed to test their focus and resolve. In this high-stakes environment, They must memorize the faces of their targets, knowing that failure to eliminate a target or mistakenly harming a non-combatant will result in painful electric shocks. As Kennedy watches with bated breath, the simulation begins. Hurley introduces Al-Mansur as a target, and Mitch instinctively fires, only to receive a jolt of electricity in return. The intensity escalates as the recruits start to succumb to the excruciating pain, tapping out one by one. Despite Hurley's relentless taunting, Mitch remains steadfast, enduring the shocks until he collapses to his knees but continues to fire. Simultaneously, in Poland, a tense deal unfolds in a van for the transfer of stolen plutonium. Just as payment is about to be exchanged, law enforcement knocks on the door, prompting suspicion. The situation spirals out of control when the buyer suddenly opens fire, killing both officers and sellers before vanishing into the ensuing chaos. Back at Orion, Hurley catches wind of the violent incident and recognizes the shooter with growing concern. As the simulation concludes, only Mitch and Victor remain among the recruits. They are placed in a simulated storefront where they must identify and eliminate their designated target. Victor spots the target first, and as Mitch observes him closely, he steps in to assist with the elimination, also taking down an unexpected secret target, a woman who poses a threat. Kennedy calls for Hurley to brief her on the stolen plutonium case. He presents a still image of the shooter, seeking her insight. To her shock, Kennedy realizes that the man, believed to have died years ago in a drone strike, was once an operative known as Ghost. Armed with new intelligence about Turkish arms dealer Hamdi Sharif selling a nuclear trigger device, Kennedy is determined to seize this opportunity to neutralize both threats. She insists on deploying Orion to Istanbul and insists that Mitch be part of the mission. In preparation for their operation, Hurley summons Mitch to his office, where he plays back footage Mitch recorded in Spain. Angered, Mitch demands that Hurley turn off the video, but Hurley remains unfazed by Mitch's emotions. In a heated moment, Mitch attempts to confront Hurley but finds himself nearly choked out instead. Hurley warns him sternly never to let his emotions cloud his judgment. The team, Mitch, Victor, and Hurley, arrives in Turkey, where they are met by CIA agent Annika. Hurley briefs them on Sharif's operations, assigning Mitch to lookout duty alongside Annika as they prepare for their critical mission ahead. Later, Mitch and Annika discreetly observe Sharif engaged in conversation with his assistant. In a moment of impulsivity, Mitch deviates from their planned approach, colliding with the assistant and deftly swiping his cell phone. Although this bold move yields valuable information, Hurley reprimands Mitch for straying off script. The agents quickly decrypt the phone, uncovering details about Sharif's scheduled lunch meeting the following day. Hurley assigns Victor as the lead operative, relegating Mitch to back up alongside Annika. The next day, Annika and Mitch position themselves strategically across from the restaurant where Sharif is expected. As Sharif arrives, he is flanked by armed soldiers for protection, prompting Hurley to devise a plan to neutralize the threat. He stealthily targets a lone soldier, dragging him into an alley and threatening him with a knife, compelling him to call in a bomb threat elsewhere in the city. The soldiers, alarmed, hastily vacate the area while Hurley chokes the soldier unconscious. With the path cleared, Mitch and Victor advance toward the restaurant. Inside, Sharif hands over a car key to a buyer, who suddenly recognizes Victor and shoots him dead before unleashing gunfire on Mitch and the startled patrons. Mitch urgently informs Hurley of the unfolding chaos. Victor is dead, and Sharif has escaped. Despite Hurley's inclination to abort the mission, Mitch spots Sharif fleeing and orders his assistant to follow. They track Sharif to his apartment complex, where Mitch breaks in but is soon pursued by aggressive dogs. In a narrow escape, he locks himself inside a car, cleverly trapping the dogs within. Once inside Sharif's apartment, Mitch is discovered and must evade Sharif's bodyguard. After a tense confrontation, he triumphs in a brutal struggle. Without hesitation, he storms into Sharif's room and eliminates him before seizing his laptop. Back at base, Hurley unleashes his frustration on Mitch for disregarding orders. Just then, Kennedy arrives and sees a news report featuring Mitch's actions. She staunchly defends him, insisting he remains part of the team. Together, they witness Ghost escaping in a vehicle, prompting Hurley to regret ever training Mitch and vowing to eliminate Ghost. With the nuclear trigger now in hand, he realizes they need a physicist to further their plans. As they sift through Sharif's laptop, they uncover a $2 million transfer destined for Rome. Meanwhile, in Rome, Minister Buruz arrives at a secure facility where he meets Ghost, revealing their partnership and plans to procure the physicist. Annika, Hurley, and Mitch arrive in Rome, and as Mitch seeks answers about the man responsible for Victor's death, Hurley simply states that he is just another villain in their line of work. Annika steps out of the bank and rejoins the team, disclosing that they will receive an alert as soon as the physicist collects his payment. Shortly thereafter, the withdrawal occurs, and they successfully identify the physicist. They trail his vehicle back to his hotel, where Mitch and Annika secure the room adjacent to his and set up a video feed into his suite. Mitch is intently monitoring the feed when Annika approaches, wanting to discuss his emotions. Her unexpected distraction causes him to miss the moment when several men enter the physicist's room and discover their surveillance. In the ensuing chaos, Mitch manages to eliminate one of the intruders, but Annika is captured. Outside, Hurley waits in his car, growing concerned when he doesn't hear from Mitch and decides to investigate. Inside the hotel, Mitch and Annika find themselves at gunpoint. Ghost demands to know Hurley's whereabouts, but just then, Hurley bursts in, firing shots in an attempt to turn the tide. However, Ghost narrowly escapes while Mitch and Annika fight back against the remaining assailants, ultimately killing them. Hurley corners the physicist as he tries to flee. They transport the physicist to a secluded location where Mitch demands answers about his identity. However, Hurley disregards Mitch's inquiries and takes charge of the interrogation, pressing the physicist for information on the bomb's location. Ignoring Mitch's protests, Hurley instructs him to clean up and regroup. Later, Mitch and Annika book a hotel room together. As she tends to his injuries, she encourages him to rest, assuring him that they will pursue Ghost the next day. While Annika prepares a bath, Mitch confronts her about how she knows Ghost's name and questions her true allegiance. She insists that he mentioned it first and claims to be with the CIA, but Mitch grows suspicious, believing she may actually be Iranian intelligence, and he attacks her. He submerges her in water, demanding she reveal the truth, but Annika steadfastly refuses to cooperate. In a shocking turn of events, Annika is later interrogated and discovered to be affiliated with Iranian intelligence. Hurley decides to confront her handler, Ashani, who is revealed to be both Annika's uncle and an old acquaintance of Hurley's. Ashani discloses that Minister Buruz and General Rostami hired Ghost to procure nuclear materials and shares critical intel. Ghost has sought an Iranian physicist to replace the one they captured. As Ashani is killed during this meeting and Hurley is shot in the leg by Ghost, Kennedy arrives at the safe house only to learn of Ashani's death. Mitch informs her that Hurley was supposed to meet Ashani and expresses a desire to go after him, but Kennedy firmly refuses, insisting that Mitch must return home instead. As Annika is escorted away by CIA agents, Mitch seizes her cell phone and rushes after her. He intercepts the vehicle, neutralizing the driver, and urgently reveals to Annika that her handler has been killed and Hurley has been taken captive. Meanwhile, Hurley finds himself trapped in a secret nuclear lab, his arm caught in a vice. Ghost confronts him, displaying the scars from the torment he endured after being abandoned by Hurley, expressing a bitter wish that Hurley had come back for him. Hurley, however, stands firm, reminding Ghost that his reckless actions endangered the lives of 10 agents. In a fit of rage, Ghost binds Hurley's free hand above his head. Back with Mitch and Annika, she informs him that she has traced Buruz's cell phone, which could lead them to Hurley. In a desperate move, Mitch steals a car, and they speed off toward Buruz's location. Meanwhile, Ghost resorts to torturing Hurley, demanding to know the whereabouts of his team. When Hurley remains silent, Ghost retaliates by ripping off one of his fingernails. Ghost's anger mounts as he questions Hurley about the new operative, but Hurley defiantly claims that Mitch is far superior. This only prompts Ghost to inflict further pain by yanking out another fingernail. Frustrated with Hurley's resilience, Ghost escalates the torture, electrocutes him, and expresses his regret for ever trusting Hurley and the U.S. Navy by cutting a deep gash into Hurley's chest and cauterizing it with a blowtorch. In a moment of desperation, Hurley decides to divulge Mitch's location. However, as Ghost approaches, Hurley bites off a chunk of his ear in a last act of defiance. Just then, Buruz is notified that the bomb has been armed, but Ghost violently eliminates everyone present. Hurley urges Ghost to finish him off as well, but Ghost has other plans. He wants Hurley alive to witness the catastrophic outcome of his creation. Meanwhile, Mitch and Annika arrive at the facility and stealthily make their way inside with their weapons drawn. They reach a locked gate, and knowing only Annika can get through, Mitch hands her his gun and encourages her to go ahead. As 3 armed men approach down the tunnel, Mitch cleverly climbs to the ceiling to evade detection. Annika reaches the lab only to find a dying Buruz, who pleads for her assistance. Overcome with rage at the man who orchestrated her uncle's murder, she shoots Buruz dead, inadvertently alerting everyone in the vicinity. Realizing the danger, Mitch races back to their car and drives into the tunnel, taking out the 3 gunmen and crashing through the gate. The impact causes an explosion that triggers alarms, prompting Kennedy and her team to mobilize. Finally reaching Hurley, Mitch learns that Ghost has initiated the countdown for the nuclear device and urges him to pursue Ghost immediately. As Mitch embarks on this perilous mission, He stumbles upon Ghost holding a gun to Annika's head, setting the stage for a tense confrontation. In a heart-wrenching moment, Annika confides in Mitch her desperate longing to see her family, before tragically using Ghost's gun to take her own life. Devastated yet resolute, Mitch continues his pursuit of Ghost, eliminating another gangster in his path. Ghost manages to board a boat, but Mitch leaps onto it just in time, launching into a fierce battle against his nemesis as the waves toss them violently. Ghost taunts Mitch about the death of his girlfriend, intensifying the brutality of their fight. Meanwhile, Hurley is rescued by a helicopter and urgently contacts Kennedy. Together, they deduce that Ghost is plotting an attack on the Sixth Fleet. The fleet is promptly alerted and prepares for the impending nuclear threat. As the fight rages on, Ghost cruelly berates Mitch for failing to save Katrina, raising the stakes of their confrontation. Just as he attempts to stab Mitch, Mitch seizes the blade with his hand and, fueled by rage and desperation, swiftly kills Ghost. Hurley and Kennedy strategize to neutralize the boat, only to discover that Mitch has taken control of it. Determined not to abandon his friend, Hurley directs his helicopter toward Mitch's location. He radios him with urgency, instructing him to throw the bomb overboard as the Navy prepares to fire. In a tense moment, Mitch hurls the bomb into the water just as the helicopter swoops in to rescue him, narrowly escaping the explosion that creates a massive sinkhole. A towering mushroom cloud rises, and the shockwave reverberates through the fleet, sending Hurley's chopper into a perilous spin, yet the pilot manages to regain control. Mitch grapples with feelings of guilt, believing Hurley should have left him behind, but Hurley firmly tells him not to get accustomed to such abandonment. Weeks later, we find Mitch in Dubai, while Kennedy visits Hurley as he recuperates. They watch news reports of General Rostami blaming the CIA for the nuclear disaster and positioning himself as a contender for the presidency of Iran. With Mitch mysteriously absent, they come to a chilling realization: he may be on a mission to finish what was started. As Rostami and his men enter an elevator, they are unaware that Mitch is already waiting inside, ready to confront them. Thank you for watching. If you are new, don't forget to subscribe for more recaps. Until next time, have a nice day.